You wake up in complete darkness. The air tastes metallic. The walls are so close you can touch both sides without extending your arms. Above you, 3 million pounds of ocean pressure. Below you, nothing but the abyss. And you won't see the sun for another 87 days. Welcome to life aboard a nuclear submarine. Right now, somewhere in the Pacific, 135 sailors are sealed inside a steel tube, moving silently through depths that would instantly crush an unprotected human body. They're breathing manufactured air, drinking water pulled from the sea, and eating food that was loaded months ago. One mistake, one flooded compartment, one system failure, and they all die together in the darkness. What nobody tells you about submarine life is that it's not the technology that's most impressive. It's literally the mind games these sailors play with themselves just to stay sane. The invisible rules they follow. The strange rituals that keep everyone from going completely insane when trapped together for 3 months. Let's start with something simple. Sleep. Actually, there's nothing simple to this. On a Virginia-class submarine, there are 135 crew members, but there are only 94 beds. Yes, do the math. 41 sailors don't have their own bunk. They share, not like college roommates share, not even like prison inmates share. They hot rack. You finish your 6-hour watch at 2 a.m. You're exhausted, your eyes burning from staring at sonar screens. You head to your assigned bunk, pull back the curtain, and the sheets are still warm. Body warm. The guy who just left for his shift was sleeping there 15 minutes ago. You can still smell him. The pillow holds the shape of his head. You climb in anyway, because that's what you signed up for. That's what earns you the right to call yourself a submariner. The bunks themselves are 74 inches long, 25 inches wide, with 18 inches of headroom. For comparison, a standard coffin is 84 by 28 inches. You literally have less space than a dead person. 3 bunks stack vertically, separated by thin mattresses that do nothing to muffle the snoring, the nightmares, the midnight whispers of guys talking to themselves because the isolation is getting to them. Your entire life fits in a briefcase-sized locker. Clothes, photos, books, letters from home, everything else stays behind. The Navy even has regulations about what kind of personal items you can bring because space is limited. Interestingly, veteran submariners say they sleep better underwater than on land. I'm not even kidding. The constant hum of machinery becomes white noise. The gentle rocking motion feels like being in the womb. Some guys finish their deployment and can't sleep in regular beds anymore. Too quiet, too still, too much space. They've been conditioned to find peace in confinement. Food storage on a submarine is an exercise in controlled chaos. Before deployment, they load 15,000 pounds of food. That's 7.5 tons. 3 pickup trucks worth of groceries for 3 months. But here's the problem. Submarines weren't designed as grocery stores. So food gets stored anywhere there's space. And I mean anywhere. For the first 2 weeks of deployment, you're literally walking on food. Canned goods stack 4 feet high in passageways. You can't walk normally. You shuffle sideways, stepping carefully on cases of vegetables, boxes of pasta, crates of canned ham. Shower stalls become pantries. Torpedo rooms become warehouses. Some poor bastard's bunk has 200 pounds of canned corn stacked underneath it. The food situation creates this bizarre countdown calendar. As supplies get eaten, the submarine opens up. Week 1, you're climbing over boxes just to get to the head. Week 4, you can finally walk like a normal human. Week 8, the storage areas are mostly empty, and you start seeing parts of the submarine you forgot existed. Fresh food lasts maybe 2 weeks if they're lucky. After that, it's all canned, frozen, and dehydrated. No more salads. No more milk that doesn't taste like chalk. No more bread that doesn't come from a can. Submarine cooks are different. These guys are preparing 4 meals a day in a kitchen smaller than most people's bathrooms, feeding more people than a busy restaurant. using only shelf-stable ingredients, and somehow keeping morale high enough that nobody commits mutiny. The midnight meal deserves special mention. It's not leftovers or sandwiches. It's a full meal designed specifically for the night shift. Hungry sailors make mistakes. Tired, hungry sailors make big mistakes. Did you know one submarine deployed with 1,500 pounds of ribeye, 300 pounds of bacon, and 1,000 pounds of coffee? The coffee number tells you everything. These sailors run on caffeine and adrenaline because sleep is a luxury they can't afford. After 110 days at sea, one crew reported their remaining inventory: one canned ham, excessive amounts of white cake mix, and some dehydrated vegetables that nobody wanted to eat. Now, we get to the truly insane part: creating life from nothing. Every breath you take on a submarine is manufactured. The oxygen entering your lungs right now didn't exist an hour ago. It was part of the ocean. Then, electricity split seawater molecules apart, separated hydrogen from oxygen, vented the hydrogen overboard, and stored the oxygen for your next breath. A typical adult consumes 600 liters of oxygen daily. Multiply by 135 crew members. That's 78,000 liters of oxygen needed every single day. The submarine's electrolytic oxygen generators run continuously, splitting molecule after molecule, keeping everyone alive through pure chemistry and electrical power. But oxygen generation is just step one. You also need water. Not the salt water surrounding you that would kill you through dehydration. You need fresh water pulled from the ocean through distillation plants that produce up to 40,000 gallons daily. That's enough for a small town. Most of that water doesn't go to drinking or cooking. It goes to cooling electronics. Because a nuclear submarine generates massive amounts of heat, and, every computer, every control system, every piece of equipment needs constant cooling, or it fails. Then there's the carbon dioxide problem. You're breathing in oxygen and breathing out poison. As CO2 levels rise, the air becomes toxic. Submarines use chemical scrubbers, soda lime specifically, that grab CO2 molecules out of the air through chemical reactions. The captured carbon dioxide gets released overboard when conditions permit. The atmospheric monitoring systems check air quality constantly. Mass spectrometry, infrared sensors, real-time analysis of oxygen, carbon dioxide, hydrogen, carbon monoxide, trace chemicals. The crew knows within seconds if something's wrong. Let me tell you, all these systems have operational availability exceeding 99% after 5 million hours of operation. Let's talk about something nobody wants to discuss, but everyone needs to know. Toilets. There's an interesting story behind it. April 14th, 1945. German submarine U-1206 is patrolling off the coast of Scotland, 24 days before the end of World War II. The submarine is equipped with a revolutionary new high-pressure toilet system that allows waste disposal while running deep underwater. The system is so complicated that only specially trained technicians are supposed to operate it. Captain Karl Adolf Schlitt decides to use it himself. He's not properly trained. He can't figure out the valve sequence. He calls for an engineer. In the confusion, they open the wrong valve. Seawater and sewage flood the toilet compartment. The water reaches the submarine's batteries. Chemical reaction begins. Chlorine gas starts forming. Deadly poison filling the submarine. Schlitt has maybe minutes before his entire crew suffocates. He makes the only choice available: surface the submarine in broad daylight in waters patrolled by British aircraft. As soon as they break the surface, British planes spot them and attack. One crew member dies. The submarine sustains critical damage. Schlitt orders abandoned ship. 46 survivors, including the captain, become prisoners of war. A toilet malfunction sank a U-boat and captured its crew. Modern submarines use vacuum toilet systems similar to commercial aircraft, but far more better. Waste goes into vacuum tanks, then pressurized sanitary holding tanks. The system is designed so toilets function, even while holding tanks are being emptied. The holding tanks get pressurized with compressed air and blown overboard, but only in international waters at least 3 nautical miles from shore. Environmental regulations. Even underwater, submarines follow the rules. Solid waste gets compacted into special perforated steel cans, 28.5 inches long, 9 inches diameter, with metal weights added so they sink. The cans get ejected through a trash disposal unit, essentially a torpedo tube for garbage. My gosh, the precision required is remarkable. Crews calculate exactly how much waste they'll generate over 90 days and ensure they have enough disposal capacity for the entire mission. There's no margin for error. There's no calling for pickup. Of course, technology keeps you alive, but culture keeps you sane. First rule: no politics. Ever. In a space where 135 people live closer than most families, discussing divisive topics could destroy everything. So submariners just don't do it. They focus on mission, shipmates, and returning home alive. Noise discipline is sacred. Someone is always sleeping because of shift rotations. So crew members never slam doors, never speak loudly in sleeping areas, never make unnecessary noise. This consideration becomes automatic after a few weeks. Personal space awareness is crucial. Hallways are so narrow that sailors develop a choreographed way of moving past each other. They duck, bend, step aside in fluid motion that prevents constant collisions. Shower etiquette is strictly observed. Water is precious despite the submarine's ability to make its own, because using less water means running quieter pumps and maintaining better stealth. Most submariners limit showers to 3 minutes. Get wet, turn off water, soap up, turn water back on, rinse fast. But the most important rule isn't written anywhere. Every person on that submarine is making identical sacrifices, facing identical challenges, deserving identical respect. This sort of creates brotherhood that's difficult to find anywhere else. These guys literally trust each other with their lives every single day. You can say the pride factor is huge. Submarine service is entirely voluntary. Only about 1% of Navy personnel serve on submarines. Earning your Dolphins, the Submarine Warfare Qualification Pin, is considered one of the highest honors in naval service. New crew members are called NUB until they qualify. Non-useful bodies. They must learn every system on the submarine, understand emergency procedures for every scenario, demonstrate ability to handle any situation. They're tested by experienced crew who accept nothing less than perfection. The Dolphin Pin is like a proof you've been accepted into one of Earth's most elite communities. Back in March 2024, HMS Vengeance of the Royal Navy surfaces after 201 days underwater. That's nearly 7 months submerged, breaking previous records, proving modern submarine technology has reached almost unimaginable capability. 201 days without sunlight, without fresh air, without any contact with the outside world except brief encrypted communications. No weather, no seasons, no day or night cycles, just artificial environment. The limiting factor isn't life support. Nuclear reactors can run 25 years. Submarines can make unlimited oxygen and fresh water. The limit is food storage. You can't manufacture ribeye from seawater. Not yet, anyway. American submarines regularly conduct patrols lasting 60 to 80 days, with some surveillance missions extending to 6 months. The USS Missouri during one deployment spent 163 out of 181 days underwater. That's 90% of their time submerged. For a moment, think about what that does to a person psychologically. You spend 6 months with the same 134 people, breathing recycled air, eating increasingly creative meals, sleeping in a coffin-sized bunk that's never really yours, knowing that if anything goes wrong, you all die together. And then you surface, blink in the sunlight, and volunteer to do it again. What makes someone choose this life? Because that's the real mystery here. Nobody forces you onto a submarine. It's entirely voluntary. You have to actively choose months of confinement in a steel tube, hundreds of feet underwater, surrounded by nuclear weapons and torpedoes, with constant possibility of catastrophic failure. These sailors develop mental toughness that's difficult to comprehend. They find entertainment in the smallest things: cribbage games, movie nights. Making pizza using armed forces recipe service instructions becomes memorable enough that guys talk about it years later. They learn to live in a world with no privacy, no personal space, no escape from shipmates. Yet somehow, they develop the ability to give each other space even in the most crowded conditions. They learn when someone needs to be alone, even though being truly alone is impossible. Right now, somewhere beneath the ocean, submarines are patrolling. You'll never see them. You'll never know their names. You'll never meet the crews. But they're there, breathing manufactured air, drinking water pulled from the sea, eating meals prepared in kitchens smaller than your bathroom, sleeping in bunks smaller than coffins, living by unwritten rules that keep them sane. And when they finally surface, when they finally see sunlight again, when they finally step onto solid ground, they do something most people would never consider. They volunteer to go back down, because that's what submariners do. That's who they are. That's the code they live by. They are America's silent service, and they deserve every bit of respect we can give them. Now I want to hear from you. Could you handle 90 days underwater in a steel tube? Be honest. Drop a comment below. If this gave you a new respect for submarine crews, hit that subscribe button for more stories like this, and check out the next video here.